Good morning, afternoon, and evening, everyone. The Game Week 1 deadline is almost here, and this is my final team selection video ahead of Game Week 1. Let's jump right into it. Now, if you've been following the previous videos, you'll see that the defense hasn't really changed, but there are two significant changes. The Palace double up remains of Henderson and Munoz, and I will talk about why I think Munoz is an absolutely fantastic option that's going under the radar in the next few minutes with his underlying data. Now, Barco as a 4.0, I think is the best budget defender. He's been playing at left wing back for Brighton in Estupiñán's absence, and his performances have been very good. He's been taking a large chunk of their set pieces, corners, free kicks, and they're a very good side under the new manager who actually pays attention to the defense. We need to get sort of out of the mindset that Brighton are a poor defense. Is a completely different manager. We do need to look at that. And I don't think while the fixture away to Goodison Park is that good for clean sheets, he's primarily covering for Robinson this week, who I will be playing for all the weeks after. And for my other 4.0 midfielder, I've gone with Ben Johnson. He played wing back for Ipswich, a very attacking role. And when he does not play wing back, he should be playing at centre back or right back as well. So I think you get the attacking upside from Johnson and Barco at 4.0. Players who play decent options at that price. Now, Trent is someone I'll talk about in the next few slides. After seeing him at the weekend, I'm quite bullish. Now, Slot's style is not as gung-ho, not as heavy metal as Klopp was. He values control, which meant that Trent wasn't necessarily going into that quarterback role that Klopp had moved him into. He was getting into the byline, getting into the box, more what we have seen of the traditional Trent. And I think at 7.0 in this role, he could be a fantastic FPL option. He's the defender to own, and I have tried to shoehorn him into my side in space of some sacrifices, which you shall see in the next version. Now, first up, Diogo Jota has made it. I think he's Liverpool's first choice centre forward. He looked very good at the weekend, a very sharply taken finish. And I think, unlike the Diaz versus Gakpo dilemma, where I think Gakpo could potentially be the first choice on the left, I think Jota, he is Liverpool's first choice centre forward. He's simply too good a finisher. If Jota stays fit, and obviously this is a big if, we haven't seen that yet, I think he's someone who can actually hit 25 plus goals a season, and I think Slot knows that. So at 7.5, while we have the option of selecting him, I think he's a gift simply too good to pass up. There's hat-trick potential there in each of the opening fixtures, and if he loses his spot, is worth a transfer out purely for the high ceiling that he offers. Now, Saka has come in at the expense of Salah primarily because I needed to generate funds for Trent, and also I'm slightly worried about Salah's positioning. He did get a few chances, but he looked a bit wider than usual. I won't be captaining Salah now away to Ipswich, Game Week 2 at home to Brentford, where I'll be captaining Haaland, or Game Week 3 away to Manchester United, where I'll be again captaining either Haaland or Saka, who'll be home to Brighton that week. So I've decided to go without Salah at least in the short term. Although I'm not sitting entirely comfortable with that, I'm very well aware of Salah's opening day record, especially against promoted teams. So I will talk about later how he could shoehorn Salah into the side alongside Trent and Jota, because those two guys I simply cannot go without right now. I will be talking about Saka's numbers as well. He looked quite sharp. He didn't look rusty at all. He looked like he had a very good preseason. And Arsenal this year, I look at them as genuine title contenders. I wanted a piece of their attack. I think game week 1 and 3 are great fixtures for points both at home. Villa could also be leaky early on. You know, they like to play the high line, and game week 4 is Spurs. So it all comes down to whether you like, let's say, a Saka and a Trent versus a Salah and a Robinson, and we'll discuss that later on, how you could accommodate him with some other sacrifices. Now, Gordon is one I'm a little bit iffy about. He played only 45 minutes at the weekend, but he looked quite sharp and Newcastle looked strong. I think how we'll start with him, it would be a bit risky if he benched him with all the transfer rumors that are going on. And I think the fixtures after this for Newcastle, game week 2 against Bournemouth and game week 3 against Spurs, are also very good for returns. You could probably move him on after that when he has a few away games. But at 7.5, I think Gordon is also a great pick. And the thing is with Isak, you're not really getting any points for the Newcastle goals because ultimately everyone is going to own Isak. Most people are even going to captain him. So I want another entry into the plum game week 1 fixture. Nkunku looked quite impressive at the weekend. He played only 45 minutes, but I think that's more of a case of workload management because he played the most minutes of any attacker over preseason. I don't think you need to be worrying about Nkunku's start. Yes, the game week one fixture against Man City isn't the best, but the fixtures after that are fantastic. And what I noticed even in the preseason game is he was constantly in the box within the width of the 6 yard area, getting into great positions. So I can see him being a good output merchant in terms of goals and assists. Very good at 6.5 and my pick of the mids in that bracket quite easily. Now there's been another change up top. Solanke is moved to Spurs, and even though he's in a Bournemouth jersey in that picture, it has been updated in FPL. And striker is absolutely FPL gold. Even Richarlison got so many big chances. You see later on in the data in terms of big chances per 90, they create so many chances for Spurs. And early on, I do expect them to be good. It's when the second half of the season they started to fade after they got a little bit tired. And the opening fixture against Leicester in particular, I think could be big because the Foxes have looked poor in preseason. They struggled. And I think they are probably in worse shape they were than when they got promoted. Great avenue to points. Game week 2 at Everton is great. And game week 3 and 4, you could assess him, probably switch him out to Watkins, but I don't mind leaving an Ange number 9 just in there while he's fit. Isak will likely be my captain at home to Southampton. He had more big chances in the last 10 matches of last season than any other forward. Newcastle just generates so much XG at home, and I don't think until he gets injured, he will be leaving my side because Newcastle without European football, I think, going to be a different beast this season. Haaland is in there. I am slightly tempted to captain him against my own side, Chelsea. We have looked quite poor defensively, but Maresca might set up a little bit more conservatively given the opposition. And Haaland doesn't really have the entire support cast available with KDB, Foden, etc., Walker fully fit yet. So I'm slightly wary about that. Now let's talk about the data about some of these new guys that have come in, starting with Jota. Now, all the tables you're seeing here are from the Fantasy Football Scout members area. They recently launched a fantastic app on Android and iOS that I highly recommend you check out. They also have 40% off membership if you sign up using the code in the description below. Now, the data you're seeing over here is per 90. It's not for the entire 38 matches, obviously, because Jota doesn't stay fit for very long. Now, amongst midfielders, in terms of goals per 90, Jota is right on top. That's ahead of Palmer, Olise, and Salah. When he's on the pitch, he simply scores goals. You look at the underlying data in the second table as well. He's fourth for shots in the box per 90. That's 2.93. Richarlison, Fati, and Salah, the only players that are higher than him. So he's a short-term pick. I'm in no doubts about that. But I think the upside is simply too high to not pick him while he's playing Liverpool's centre forward role. And it's his spot to lose over Darwin. I'm pretty convinced about that. But again, that's personal opinion. Now, most of you guys who have been playing FPL for a while don't need me to talk about Trent's positives, but I'm still going to do it anyway. Now, this is some of his data from last season, and I don't think he was even given as attacking a role because a lot of time he played the pass before the assist, etc. So even then, he was top for chances created per 90 amongst defenders. That's two at least per match. In terms of big chances created, he was also up there. Now you look at the chance creation. Sorry, that was the goal attempts. It was two attempts per match. Now we're talking about the chance creation numbers. He was only behind Robertson for 2.66 chances created, but his big chance created ratio you can see was much better than the Scott. And it's all about this role that he was playing. He was getting into the box, hugging the byline, creating good chances at 7.0 with good fixtures. I really think you need to be picking him because you look at Gabriel, look at Saliba at just 6.2. By just spending 1.0, you're getting so much attacking potential and a much higher ceiling. I really don't think you can go without Trent. Now, I also want to take this opportunity to talk to you guys about Sleeper, who we have partnered with at the FPL Wire. So they launched a game called Fantasy PickEm, where all you need to do is pick the results for all 10 Premier League matches this weekend. That's win, draw, lose. You don't need to predict the correct score line, just simply which team, the result rather, and you get 1 point if you do pick it correctly. And you have to do so for the entire season. Now, we'll be giving prizes for the winners monthly, and the winners at the end of the season, the top two, will win a PlayStation 5. This game is completely free to play, doesn't involve any gambling at all. You can even join multiple leagues, make different picks across leagues. Highly recommend playing. There's no reason not to. You can win Premier League kits every month. And if you're on our Discord, that is a Patreon or YouTube member, then we are actually going to be giving 3 Premier League kits away every month. So you can easily make back the whatever money you invest there quite easily. The odds are in your favor. So do get playing. It'll be fun to follow and play with you guys over the season. Now, first up, Munoz. Now, I think Munoz has gone a little bit under the radar. He played 60 odd minutes in the friendly last weekend, looked quite sharp. Absolutely, a lot of times he was the highest player on the pitch, getting into the box a lot, creating chances. And these are some of his numbers from last year. In terms of second touches in the penalty area, in the second half of last season, he was fourth, the same number as Anthony Robinson and just behind Robertson and Guardiola. Next to that, you look at his shot map from StatsBomb. You look at the location of those shots, very close to goal. Some of them are actually in the 6 yard box. So no defender really gets those chances from open play. At 5.0, if you're going to be buying Anderson for 4.5, I think he's definitely worth half million extra. His creativity numbers are good as well. You look at the chance creation numbers for the second half of the season. He was fifth for chances created amongst defenders with 21 chances created, and out of which, five of those were big chances. So he's creating quality chances, not just a volume of chances. Every four chance he's creating is being classified as a big chance by Opta, which is very, very impressive. I think he's a fantastic pick with good fixtures for Palace to start the season as well. Don't worry about the double up with Henderson. Look at Munoz as an attacker. Now, the Saka dilemma is an interesting one. Do you go with Saka plus 2.5 billion or Salah? Look, now what we have here on the table is full season non-penalty expected goal involvement from Fantasy Football Scout. Salah is way out on top, 23.19, but Saka's not that far behind, 21.77. In terms of actual returns, Salah got 23, Saka got 19. This is not counting penalties, of course, but the numbers are very strong in terms of shots, creativity. I do see there's a world in which Saka potentially outscores Salah. Price Nova, if you ask me who would I rather have in my team, it would obviously be Salah, but that 2.5 million goes a long way, especially when the captaincy isn't really a factor. I think you do have to think about that. Now, let's say I wanted to accommodate Salah in my team alongside Trent and Jota. These are the sacrifices I would have to make. Gordon would have to go, let's say, for a Smith Rowe. That would give me about 2 million. I would still need to find another 2.5 billion, and for which I'd probably have to downgrade Munoz to Anderson. Now, these seem like significant downgrades when Saka could potentially outscore Salah in the short term. I'm not saying I won't get Salah. I'm probably get him around game week 4 and 5 for the two home games. By that time, I get to see how he's functioning under slot, whether he's getting substituted, etc. While with Saka, I know it's a known quantity. It's the same manager, same team. I think Arsenal are far more settled. So I'm not really in favor of making these changes. I think I'm quite settled. I'm going to stick with what I have. This is how the team would look with those changes in place. And you can look, the defense looks quite thin over there now with Anderson in there over Munoz, because I'm trying to play Munoz every week. I wouldn't feel as comfortable doing that with Anderson. Same thing with Smith Rowe in there instead of Gordon. I don't like the game week 1 fixture. And from game week 2 and 3, you could argue Smith Rowe could match Gordon's output, but is again a bit more of an unknown quantity. Whereas with Gordon, I know what I'm getting, and I think those first three fixtures are absolutely fantastic. I don't want to let it go. That's about it. Obviously, this is not the final team. We're being totally honest with you guys. The dilemmas will go down to the last second. We will be doing a deadline stream as well. We'll be discussing this team, our various 50-50 dilemmas, and other stuff on our Discord. We highly recommend you joining by signing up on Patreon or as a YouTube member. In the meantime, please like and subscribe and follow us for more content that's coming. We're not done with preseason yet. Thanks for watching.